I have some news for you guys that I found out. A black American man who actually invented the first gravity car in the United States of America. Yeah, he was mysteriously unalived and they tried to cover that bad boy up so they could steal his invention. Watch this. And yes, you better believe I wrote this down at blackentrepreneur.history.com. The article is called "The Black American Man Invented the First Gravity Car in 1874, but questionably died right before it displayed." Now, before you go looking, I already checked, okay? All right, so you're going to find online where they will say, "We don't know who created the first gravity car," or they will say, many people were probably making gravity cars in the 1800s, but there's never any definite answer, right? And they're so great at recording, but not with this thing. They didn't greatly record. Also, right after this unnamed Black American man created the first gravity car in 1874, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in 1904, there's the first gravity car racing going on, just out of the blue. I wonder why. Let's get into it. So I took this from the Washington Chronicle of 1874. And as you can see right here, it says "a Negro inventor's end." And then they went on with a racial slur and then said he constructs a wonderful machine and becomes the victim of his own ingenuity. Now, before I go on, if everyone was making these things, why would they report it in 1874 as a Negro's invention? And then they don't even know what to call the machine properly. They called the machine a perpetual motion machine, but it wasn't a perpetual motion machine because that goes against the laws of thermodynamics. It would never have worked. This was a gravity car. As you can see right here, they call it a perpetual motion machine constructed by an old Negro who lives 3 miles west of this place. It's a wagon so arranged that after being set in motion, it runs itself by virtue of the fact that there's a weight of gravitation that is thrown forward of the center of motion, and consequently the machine is compelled to run. And of course, over here to the side, I break this down. The inventor of this car created a gravity car because the car was run by the weight of gravitation, which is thrown forward of the center of motion, pushing the machine to run. A perpetual motion car does not do the same thing as a gravity car because perpetual motion car violates the what? The laws of thermodynamics, thus would not work. What this Black American man made was a gravity car. And it was the first known gravity car ever to be made in the USA. The only official documentation of it, where? Right here. Now, before this Black American man actually invented this gravity car, the only other gravity motion machine was in the railway system. And guess what? You all know who built those railways, right? Right? Black Americans all across the United States of America prior to the Emancipation Proclamation. Now let's move on to this old Black American inventor's questionable death. Here's where they describe his accidental death. Okay. Now they say that he was on his way to register his invention for the fair, right? And everybody was watching him as he took off in his gravity car, right? He was only going about 15 miles an hour. And then suddenly they say he hit a small tree stump after starting off on a smooth, sandy road. All of a sudden, a tree stump comes out of nowhere on the smooth, sandy road, and his wheel bumps it, hurling him toward the other side of the road, headfirst into a fence, after he already busted his head somehow on the driving wheel. So basically, he's driving along great at 15 miles an hour, gets ejected from the gravity car, okay? Then ends up on the other side of the road, on the other side, the opposite side of the road. And get this, the gravity car did not flip over, nothing. It continued, they say, freely cruising down the road until it actually came to a gentle stop in front of a log, fully intact. Yeah, of course I wrote all this down because the story didn't make any sense to me, being that I actually drive cars and we all drive full cars now. We actually do know what's going on at 15 miles an hour, okay? So, yeah, I wrote all of that evidence down. Furthermore, I checked to see whether or not it's likely that at 15 miles an hour in any gravity car, will you somehow have a terrible accident and unalived. Guess what it says? It's highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. You may be injured, but not unalived because of it, okay? As a matter of fact, it even went on to say that in a gravity car, you won't even be thrown from it at 15 miles an hour. So, looking back at 1874, how on earth would this man have been thrown all the way across the road? All the way across the road and immediately died from being hit on the head. That was a violent throw at 15 miles an hour from a gravity car. But there's more. The coroner gets involved. Here's what the coroner said. When the coroner inspected, he couldn't tell what killed him, the fence collision or the driving wheel. So he could not tell. But it gets worse. There was an informant at the scene who gave all this information to the public about how this Black American inventor passed away, right? But he said, but we're going to still enter his invention into the fhere so that all the other inventors can see it. But our informant assures us that it will still be on exhibition at the state fairgrounds, and we invite the attention of inventors and machinists to its peculiar mechanism. Y'all see that? This Black inventor did not pass away riding in his own invention. They took his life and stole his invention. And like I said, and I wrote this in my article, online historical accounts will generally state that many nameless individuals were probably making them in the 1800s for fun. But if that is the case, then why did newspapers all across America write about this Black American inventor story so heavily as him being the creator of a new wonderful machine, if so many people were doing it? It's a lie, that's why. A Black American man created the first gravity car in the United States of America in 1874. And a bunch of other people took his invention and ran with it. So now when you see those little soapbox derbies and soapbox gravity car racing derbies or whatever they call them, just know there was an unnamed Black American man who was old who invented that car. And they took his life. And I'm standing on that one until I get any other evidence that says otherwise. Visit blackentrepreneur.history.com for the whole entire story and more.